Good afternoon, everyone. This is Scott Gallagher, Waste Energy Corp. I'm the Chairman and CEO. Appreciate everybody taking some time today to jump on the call with us. We're kind of going to jump right into it. Today's call is going to focus on three primary areas. The first is our SEC reporting status. The second will be the timeline for commissioning. And then the last one will be an operational update of for the company. Before we start, though, I'd like to begin by reminding everybody that today's call will include forward-looking statements. Those statements are based on current expectations and estimates, and may include comments about forward-looking results that differ materially from those that materialize. We encourage all our shareholders to review our publicly disclosed filings at the SEC.gov, follow our website, and our 10-Ks for a full discussion of the risks involved with the company. That said, let's start with the most important priority of the company right now, which is our SEC reporting status. So first and foremost, the update today on the SEC reporting status is probably the most important on the call. We're currently working with our new audit firm, M&K PAs out of Houston, Texas. I'm going to walk through the reporting process and how it affected the company shortly here, but I do want to report that with consultation of M&K and our team internally here, we do expect to file all of our outstanding SEC documents by July 15th. Hang on for 1 second.
The fuck? Oh no, are you kidding me? Oh, this is a scam. What the fuck?
This line is now on hold. This line is now off hold. Muted.
Okay, apologize for that. A little technical mix-up there, but hopefully we can hear now and we will restart. I'm just going to jump right into where we had the disclaimers. We hadn't even started here, and settings were wrong. So before we begin, again, just want to remind everybody that this is in this conference call, we talk about current expectations, future expectations, estimates, things like that that are subject to material change with what happens down the road one way or the other. So again, would encourage everyone to go to sec.gov, review all of our financial statements, go to our website, wpc.eco, review our information there. So let's try to jump right into this. It is being recorded, so we'll have a replay tomorrow. We're going to start with the SEC reporting status and what has happened here, because really since April, we had a problem with our former auditor. We had a very small firm. Didn't realize how small it was actually, because we hadn't had any problems with the firm for the previous two years. This was our third cycle with the same PCOB registered firm. Just to save kind of the background, it didn't work out. It was a small firm. Things got off track. I don't know why. We had problems with them. They disappeared for long periods of time. And the audits are so central to our company. So all public companies, especially small and micro cap companies, because all of our financing, all of our activities are designed around OTC reporting and our OTC QB listing. And if you don't keep those up to speed, there are consequences and things start to happen in the company. So while that was going, there was almost a full month period. Actually, there was a full month period, but we didn't know what was going to happen. We had given them the information. Our 10K had been done for weeks and weeks. We weren't getting much feedback from the current auditor, and it just broke down, and they ended up resigning. And we would have fired them. We would have had to start all over again. So we were trying to get through it anyway. But the good news is that immediately after that, we took a look at it the very next day, and I've been in touch with other companies prior to the filings that had been taking so long. And we had identified a couple other firms, and we obviously realized that at this point in our development, being kind of held hostage by a small firm that in 2025 filed 2 audit reports, and one of them was ours. It's not a way to run the company going forward. So we looked around. We interviewed several firms that we landed on M&K CPAs out of Houston, Texas, and we were lucky enough that they accepted us as a client. We retained them. M&K audits somewhere around, I think, 80 publicly traded companies. Around 30 of them are NASDAQ companies. They're one of the largest in the microcap side, really, in the country, as far as I understand. They also have 60 employees, and all but one, as I understand, are all in Texas. Our operations are in Midland. And that's a lot of what our future is going to be in and around Houston for future growth. So it really made sense. They were based on timing that the first quarter Q season had ended, and they took on the assignment. And we are working very hard to get this all caught up with our filing. So as of right now, and one of the first kind of piece of news I want to relate on this call is that in consultation with the auditors, our internal team here, our plan is, there's still a few caveats, it's not 100% sure, but we are planning to file all of our filings and become current by July 15th. So it's about 3 weeks from now. We should be fully current. Once we are current, we will immediately seek to uplist back to the OTC QB, which is where we were before this started. And then at that point, we're in compliance with all of our contracts and agreements in terms of our reporting obligations, and we can focus back onto the commissioning and the rest of the business. So, again, kind of being current is not just a compliance item either. It's really the foundation of our company. As we go forward, we've come a long way here in these last couple of years. We've got our machine, we've got our site. These are all, we've secured major contracts. And to have it all at risk from a handful of people was really something that was eye-opening for us, and it's a lesson that we've learned. We made a mistake going on a small firm, and we won't do that again. Again, we're lucky enough to retain M&K. So with M&K, that represents a major upgrade for Waste Energy Corp. Their level of experience, staffing, just general knowledge, the fact that they're in Texas, are all very important for us, as opposed to a 2 or 3 person shop that we had. So we'll never allow ourselves to be held hostage like that again. And we think that on the other side of this, I mean, the good thing is that while this has affected our entire business, because the reporting functions really cascade down the company. They affect every shareholder. They affect our access to capital. They affect our ability to schedule contractors for the commissioning. So having this resolved is huge, but knowing that we have M&K now as our firm, and that we'll never be held hostage by a small 1 or 2 person firm again, it's a huge thing that we've addressed. I think one of the other things that we're addressing too internally is our systems and processes relative to reporting, and making sure those are very current and up to speed in terms of how we exchange information back and forth with the auditor. Going forward, there is absolutely no reason we shouldn't file a 10Q 30 days after the end of the quarter. We have 45 days under SEC rules, but it really shouldn't take us more than 30 days. And the same thing with the K. A K shouldn't take more than 60 days, even though we have 90. So we shouldn't be late on these types of filings. So that's kind of internally, that's our kind of go forward MO, is that to make sure that these dates are hit and then we timely report to our investors as the company continues to grow here. So now let's just kind of, again, I got a lot of questions about this, so I'm just going to address it really within the content of the call here, is that the delays in the audit process are what then trickle down to the commissioning side. So our waste conversion system is on site, foundation is completed, the unit has been placed on top of the foundations, the water systems, the pools, the infrastructure are all done. We have enough feedstock on the site just for a full month. So we've got, we're expecting some very positive news hopefully in the next week or two on the regulatory side. So we've made a ton of progress in structuring this business and getting it up and running and getting the feedstock and getting the contracts and getting the systems in place. But the ability to schedule our key engineers, our contractors, all this stuff is we're not a huge company. We can't just throw another 10, 15 guys at these things. So it created kind of a chain reaction that now is resolved. So now we're taking a look back at the first trigger is going to be the July 15th date. Whenever we file once we file our SEC filings, our past due filings, our 10K for 2025, our first quarter Q, at that point we can start with the commissioning. Now, I've spoke to everybody prior to getting on this call, our key engineer, and some of our key contractors. If we file our SEC filings by July 15th, we are going to target a commissioning date of September 15th. I want to be crystal clear on that. When we say commissioning day, it's not just it's not a photo op we're not talking about. It's just something to say, we put it in place and it's not real. When we commission the machine, this company transforms into a development stage company into a real revenue producing entity. That first machine should generate somewhere around $200,000 a month in revenue, probably within a week of it running. Provided everything goes well. We will send out lab results of the tire-derived oil with our main product. We'll have steel, we'll have carbon black, we'll have other revenue streams as well. But once we get the lab results back and we produce our first batch and it's approved by our buyer, our off-takers, we will then immediately order the second machine and scale to 30 tons. So we hope to have that all done by the end of the year. And if we're successful on that, that really changes everything, because the second machine does not require the same amount of expenses. The location is already embedded. We have it. The machine is built. The second foundation is already poured. We just need to put it on top, hook it up, and we're ready to go. So again, these next really 60 to 90 days are going to be huge in our company's kind of trajectory in getting this fully reported, getting uploading to the QB, generating revenue, getting the machine commissioned and up and running by September 15th. Now, that's not a firm date. That's our target, provided we file the SEC filings by July 15th. But we're going to really try to keep investors involved in this process relative to the dates on how we work as we go forward once we become fully reporting again. Our goal is obviously to finalize the work properly, safely, in a way that allows us to begin processing the tires into the TDO with tire-derived oil, which is called, and other byproducts. The delay has been super frustrating, but we want to make sure we do it right. We do have a very talented and very strong lead engineer that's very familiar with these types of machines, and has commented that this is a doable goal for us, provided everything, because now we've got to go back and we've got to line up all the contractors, which we're doing now for these dates tentatively. But so the dates so I have with the call here, those are the key dates. It's the July 15th for the SEC reporting to be current, and then we're looking at September 15th, commissioning of the first 15-ton waste conversion site, the waste conversion tech. So while it's been frustrating, again, the opportunity hasn't changed. The equipment's here, the site is real, the feedstock is real. We have a month's worth now. The market need is real. Nothing has changed in terms of the economics of why we got into this business. It's just businesses don't grow on a straight line on any of them. Again, we didn't really see this one coming. last 2 years. I've been in this business a long time. Never had something like this go down before. But again, as in the past, I think it's probably going to be the best thing that ever happened to us, because as we start scaling up and we start generating millions of dollars in top line sales, we need a real audit firm, and MEK is exactly that. And our ultimate goal is to on a national exchange, and they have 30 clients already there, so they're used to the protocols, the systems, and all that kind of thing. So at the end, I think this is going to be good. We've had a little pain for a few months, but that's kind of the way it goes. On the regulatory track, we're expecting some good news in the future. We've got some of these. We've got stuff we've been working on for over a year, which I'm not prepared to comment on today, but I think we're getting near some positivity there. Next week, we will start kicking in some new revenue streams. I mentioned in a press release in the beginning of the month, we've taken a look at with this delay. There's some other ways we can start driving revenue and start really getting this business up and running off the ground, rather than being so reliant on the waste conversion tech. Even though that's our future, and that's going to be the majority revenue generator for our company. Some of that stuff is all starting next week. We have a new machine that we purchased that's arriving in Midland, I think the 29th. Next week we'll just start driving some revenue. So that's on track. We also have we have other agreements that we've negotiated that are kind of in place. They're waiting for this too, because once we open up some of these agreements, we'll have more feedstock, and we need to make sure we can process it. So once we start that feedstock flow to the company, that also drives this revenue, because again, one of the things I've always said about this business, which is unique in anything I've ever done before, is we get paid on the intake side too. All the tires that we're getting, we're actually getting paid on that, which is very unique in a business model. So the next piece I want to talk briefly about is going to be WeFuel. WeFuel is our R&D project, which again, as we've looked at this business and we go out a year or so from now, there's some potential opportunities that could significantly increase our revenue streams that we'll already have from the machines. And by the way, our existing site can host up to 60 tons. We looked at it. There's an opportunity to acquire another location directly across the street, which is another almost 10 acres, which would scale us up even there. So the company and the location we selected, and having the site, and we're in a really good position right now to scale this business up once we can get the first machine commissioned and running. But relative to WeFuel, is what we did there in that project is we decided we wanted to really take a look at how can we take tire-derived oil and turn it into roadworthy oil that it get the sulfur content down to 15 parts per million, so that it's an EPA-approved fuel for diesel vehicles. And that project has gone really well. We've got a very talented lead research and development analyst working on it. We're a little less than halfway through the analysis side of the project to see if the way that we think this could happen is viable, and so far it is. So that's encouraging, but that's something we'll report on that as it materializes. That's something down the road. But at the end of that, if we're successful there, that takes that tire-derived fuel and essentially doubles the value of it by turning it into roadside fuel, fuel that's can be used on the road in diesel vehicles. So, and kind of as we move into the second half of 2026. Which we're right here. So again, the SEC side drives everything at this point. We're working around the clock on that. Once that is done and the machine is commissioned, we'll then move to get the next 15 tons in place. We'll have 30 tons. So the second half of the year is all about execution. There's not much left to talk about. We've talked to, we put out press releases. We've talked to everybody. The longer term shareholders have been with us a couple of years. This has been a 4 or 5 year initiative. Even started before I arrived at the company, when it was originally they were inquiring whether they could use waste to power a Bitcoin mining operation, and then it's kind of evolved to where it is now, and now we're about ready to turn this thing on. So we feel super exciting, and that we'll have more information on that probably in the second half of the year. But I think also in the second half of the year, it's all about execution, driving revenue, deploying the machine, getting this one up and running, driving revenue on the second one, getting that up and running. Once the first one is in, the second one should go much easier. It's just like anything else. But once you go through the process once, it's substantially easier. And plus, like I mentioned earlier, from an expense side, we'll have double the revenue with maybe a 10 to 15% increase in expenses, tops. So it's a high margin piece getting that second machine up and running. All right, so that's kind of those are the main things that I wanted to talk about on today's call. I wanted to just give everybody an idea of how and why this audit issue kind of cascaded down to delaying our commissioning and everything else. Because essentially, in August, we had to kind of hold everything, which is a lot of scheduling that goes into this thing. Our main engineers traveled all over the country, or actually all over the world, on the different synergy projects. So that month, we were not getting any feedback, and at times a week would go by with no communication at all. Meanwhile, there's no accusations of any accounting irregularities, nothing. There's nothing on the accounting side that was ever even discussed. So it was a very frustrating time period for us, and the worst part was that I know the shareholders, and I know a lot of our funders that are helping fund this whole project were very frustrated because Reg FD and the SEC is very clear on I can't selectively call certain people up and tell them what's going on, when in reality I didn't know what was going on because our auditor would literally disappear for 5 days at a time or tell us, not answer our questions, and was very cryptic. And then ultimately said, you did nothing wrong, but we're going to resign anyway, which is bizarre. But it is what it is. We got through it. Again, we're already stronger because MK is, again, just if you look apples to apples, it's not even a contest. And just having that type of firm in Texas, just kind of an added benefit for us because we've already had many talks with companies in Houston, some very large ones, in the fuel buying side, which translates into the reason for the WeFuel side. There's a gigantic market. Obviously, the Free Basin is not only the largest energy development area in the United States, it's one of the top areas in the world. So the infrastructure that is there, the engineers, the contractors, the technical expertise, the state's understanding of all this stuff is unlike any other state in the country. It's just we couldn't be at a better place than where we are in Midland, Texas, to be running this. And the fact that we've already partnered with the county of Midland, we're a vendor for the county, have been for a while. We've got some other potential opportunities, but again, everything triggers on the commissioning of the machine. Because once we can turn on the faucet for the rest of the feedstock, we need to process it. You can only stack so many tires legally. So that's kind of the overview of where we are, what's going on with the company. It's going to be very active for the next month. We're going to, I would imagine we'll probably have. We won't put out a press release if we don't have anything, but I would follow our social media sites. We have been doing an every Friday update. We're going to get back to that probably not tomorrow unless we have something to update. But I really want to make sure that we get everybody, in the loop, know what's going on, because we think this next 60 to 90 days are going to be very exciting. We're going to be, going to have the SEC compliance, and upgrade those CQB, and we're going to commission our first machine at some point. Now, if that September 15 date changes, we will make sure that everybody knows about it, and we should know that relatively soon, because if we if we become current by the July 15th, the first piece that we need to get that September date live. If there's any way we can do that sooner, we are exploring opportunities to see with our engineers, what kind of preemptive work we can do on our side. So I think at the end of the day, the company's in a much stronger position now. We're very anxious to get this SEC thing and get the reporting process over with and done with and stop talking about it, because it's expensive. And it takes a lot of our time as a small company that we want to focus on the business. So we're not at the finish line, but we're very close to transition to a substantial revenue-generating company. I want to again thank all the shareholders for your patience. I know this has been a tough time these last couple of months. just know that when we're not talking, it's because we can't, or again, hopefully we're never going to have this again, because this was a unique situation that really came from that one audit firm that we moved on from. So that's in the rearview mirror, and go to our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter, X, whatever we call it, site, but follow us there, because we will be putting out updates on a regular basis. Like I said, we'll start. If there's something new, exciting tomorrow, we'll put it out. Other than that, though, we will go on the Friday. We'll keep the Friday system in place until we achieve that commissioning, and we'll talk about it in the market as we get closer. So, again, thanks for all the help. Stay tuned for the next 3 weeks, and if we get close to that time, and it looks like it's going to be sooner or later, we will let you know. In the meantime, again, thanks for supporting the company. We look forward to a very exciting future of waste energy and moving into this next revenue generation side of our development. Everyone have a good night, and thanks again. Take care.